Have you ever wondered what lies behind the darkest Halloween legends? What if some of those horror stories weren't just fiction? In this video, we will dive into real and mysterious cases that continue to defy explanations. Get ready to hear accounts of events that really happened, with such disturbing details that will leave you questioning what is real and what is just a story. If you are a fan of mysteries and paranormal investigations, this video is for you. We will explore cases that remain unsolved, leaving behind a trail of fear and curiosity. Stay until the end and discover what these stories have to teach us about the unknown and about what may be hiding right in front of our eyes. In the heart of a small town, a haunted house became the center of an unsettling mystery. Reports of apparitions and unexplained sounds began to surface. But the story took an even darker turn when one of the families living there disappeared without a trace. The townspeople began to speak of a strange presence at the location, and many swore they had seen a hooded figure in the windows at night. Witnesses reported hearing screams echoing through the house, but when someone approached, everything fell into complete silence. The police investigated, and although nothing abnormal was found, the officers felt a heavy presence as they entered the house, as if they were being watched. No logical explanation appeared to explain what was happening there, and the house was left to decay, abandoned, as more people distanced themselves from the place, fearing to be the next victim. But what happened to the family that moved into the house? They claimed to have seen shadowy figures in the shadows, and when the police investigated, they found something even more disturbing: traces of something resembling a ceremony, with strange symbols drawn on the walls. The family's disappearance was never explained, and the case remains closed, with no solid clues as to what really happened at that place. Now, let's talk about another case that happened in a neighboring town. On a Halloween night, the old local cemetery became the scene of an even more disturbing event. A group of friends decided to explore the place, challenging the belief that the land was cursed. When they arrived, they realized something was wrong. They saw a dark figure moving among the gravestones, and as they approached, they discovered a series of tombs that had been violated. But the strangest part was the discovery of a peculiar object in one of the open graves, an old ritual book. The group tried to investigate further, but soon began to hear footsteps behind them, even though the cemetery was empty. As they attempted to flee, they encountered what appeared to be an ancient spirit watching them from the top of a hill. The story became even stranger when, upon reporting the incident to the police, the authorities stated that nothing could be confirmed, but similar cases had occurred in the region before. When the case was investigated further, no one could understand what had happened there. Many theories began to emerge. Some believed the cemetery was being used for black magic rituals, while others suggested the group had been victims of a collective mental illusion. But as always, the mystery remained unsolved. The cemetery was fenced off and protected, but nothing could guarantee that the spirits residing there were truly at peace. And then we have the case of an ancient forest where hunters mysteriously disappeared. Gray's Hollow Forest became the scene of several investigations and inexplicable events. Over the years, more than 20 hunters vanished under mysterious circumstances. Accounts from people who were near the location speak of a strange sound, as if something was watching them from a distance. Many say that occasionally, they see frightening figures moving between the trees, but always at a safe distance. The strangest part is that during one of the search expeditions, a rescue team found traces of blood, but no bodies were ever discovered. The local government tried to close off the area several times, but there was always someone willing to venture deep into the forest, only to never be seen again. The case became a legend in the region, and authorities, although they had already debunked several attempts to explain the disappearances, still couldn't provide a convincing explanation. These cases show us that no matter how hard we try to understand, the unknown always challenges us. Each story, each event leaves a sense of unease, as if something larger is at play. The truth is that these mysteries don't have definitive answers, and that's what fascinates us the most. Is there something more beyond what we can see and touch? Or are we humans, the ones creating these mysteries, to to fill the void of what we don't understand. These cases leave a question in the air. What really happened? And why, in the 21st century, do we still find ourselves at the mercy of the unknown? It's impossible not to think that there is something beyond our comprehension, something that, perhaps, we may never know what it is. Maybe the true terror is the certainty that some things will never be solved. And who knows, maybe one day, you will be the next to cross the path of something inexplicable and never return to tell the story. And you, what do you think about these cases? Do you have any real-life horror stories you'd like to share? Leave your thoughts in the comments, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more mysteries like this. Let's explore the unknown together, one mystery at a time. The truth is that no matter how much logic and science try to explain certain phenomena, there are events that simply defy any rational explanation. For years, paranormal researchers have been trying to make sense of what many consider mere urban legends. But the fact is that reports continue to emerge. The fear of the unknown is one of the most primal human emotions, and that is why stories like these, which take us out of our comfort zone, continue to fascinate us, even when we know we will never have a definitive answer. What makes these cases even more disturbing is the lack of concrete explanations and the constant presence of doubt in the air. Another case that gained notoriety in paranormal investigation circles is the famous phenomenon of humanoid shadows. In various parts of the world, especially in abandoned and forgotten places, many people claim to have seen human-shaped figures, but with one bizarre characteristic: they have no face. And the most disturbing part of all, these shadows seem to move and interact with people in ways that defy the laws of physics. One of the most documented cases occurred in an abandoned psychiatric hospital, where several people, including security guards and urban explorers, claimed to have seen these shadowy figures. But the most unsettling was the testimony of a woman who worked as a therapist at the former institution. She reported entering an empty room where she felt observed. When she turned around, she saw a shadow that seemed to materialize slowly from a dark wall. The shadow then moved toward her, stopping only a few inches from her face. She couldn't move and didn't know what to do. When she finally reacted, the shadow disappeared instantly. She never understood what had happened, but this event left her with an indescribable sense of terror. The mystery of the humanoid shadows is one of those cases that, although widely discussed, still lacks a convincing explanation. Some believe these figures are merely hallucinations, while others suggest they could be manifestations of an unknown energy, a sort of echo of something dark that happened in that place. In any case, the phenomenon remains one of the greatest sources of fascination and fear for those who venture into abandoned and mysterious places. Another interesting case involves the so-called Wicker Forest horror. The forest, located in Scotland, is famous for its legends about ancient rituals performed by a cult that is supposedly still active in the region. In the 1980s, a group of young adventurers decided to camp in the forest during Halloween. They had heard rumors about the rituals that supposedly took place there, but they thought it was just stories to scare tourists. However, what they experienced that night was something none of them would ever forget. They set up their tent near a clearing, and during the night, they began hearing unusual sounds. Light footsteps, followed by muffled murmurs, as if something was approaching them. Scared, they tried to build a larger fire, but the wood refused to catch fire, as if an invisible force was preventing it. As the night wore on, the manifestations intensified, with shadows moving through the trees and whispers seeming to come from all sides. When the group finally decided to leave, they found strange symbols drawn on the ground around the clearing, as if they were being watched and studied by an unknown force. The next morning, the young people returned to town and immediately reported the incident to the local authorities. To their surprise, the police revealed that many years ago, a ritual disappearance had occurred in the forest, involving a cult that had disappeared without a trace. No definitive explanation was given for the event, but the story gained traction, and many began to believe that what the young people witnessed was a macabre ritual that still occurs in that place, and no one can fully understand its nature. These cases, ranging from shadowy apparitions to more supernatural phenomena and ancient rituals, show that no matter how much science advances, there will always be something beyond our understanding. And the most disturbing part is that these events are not restricted to remote or unexplored places. In various cities and neighborhoods around the world, people continue to report inexplicable encounters, as if there is a hidden layer of reality that, at certain times, makes contact with our world. But what is really happening in these places? Are we dealing with supernatural forces or just aspects of our own human psyche that we cannot control? Maybe we will never know the truth. Maybe the true terror is accepting that there are things beyond our understanding. And that is what makes these stories so fascinating. The fear of not having an explanation, of not being able to put a logical or rational label on something so unsettling. As science continues to try to unravel the mysteries of the human mind and the universe, new questions arise, new uncertainties. The fascination with these real-life horror cases is, in many ways, a search for answers. The fear of the unknown leads us to try to understand what lies beyond the limits of our everyday experience. And that is what makes Halloween a special time. It's not just about ghosts or monsters, but about the feeling that something more is happening around us, something we can't see, but we can feel. A reminder that no matter how hard we try to control our reality, there are forces beyond our reach. By exploring these mysteries, we get closer to something much deeper than just a horror story. We get closer to the essence of what it means to be human, the constant search for what lies beyond the visible, the comprehensible. Fear, in its purest form, is not just about what we see, but about what we cannot see. And that is what makes these stories so compelling and terrifying. They force us to confront our deepest fear, the fear that maybe we will never have all the answers. Now it's your turn. Do you believe these stories are real? Or is it all just fiction created to terrify us? Maybe you've experienced something inexplicable. If so, share your experience in the comments below. Who knows? You might have witnessed something that challenges all logical explanations, and in doing so, help add another chapter to these unsolved mysteries. Subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and get ready for more stories and investigations that continue to challenge our understanding of the world. The unknown is always lurking, and only we can decide how far we're willing to go to discover the truth. These cases, as bizarre as they may seem, have something in common. They all challenge our perception of reality. And over the years, some of these stories have gained notoriety, becoming true icons of mystery and terror, as if we were somehow trying to make sense of the inexplicable. These stories continue to resonate with humanity, generating an insatiable desire to seek explanations. Another case that became famous occurred in the center of a small village where, for years, the residents reported the disappearance of animals. Dogs, cats, chickens, and even cattle vanished from local farms, leaving behind only strange traces, as if something had pulled the animals into the dense forest surrounding the village. Some of the locals believe that a supernatural creature, a kind of forest demon, is behind these disappearances. Stories about this entity began to circulate when an elderly woman, known to everyone in the village, claimed to have seen the creature deep in the forest, a giant shadow with red eyes that watched the villagers from a distance. The woman never returned to the village after that night, and although many others tried to investigate, no one could find any concrete evidence that something otherworldly caused the disappearances. The phenomenon continued without explanation, with more and more animals vanishing, but with no clear pattern or logical connection. Some believe the creature still resides in the forest, while others, more skeptical, suggest that the disappearances are simply the result of wild predators or even malicious humans. But to this day, no one has a plausible explanation, and the mystery continues to haunt the villagers. These stories make us reflect on how comfortable we feel with what we know and what is visible. We live in an age where we have almost unlimited access to knowledge and technology, yet there are still mysteries we cannot understand. Is our understanding of the world truly complete? Or is there something beyond what our eyes can see? And the most intriguing part, Why do we continue to seek answers to these mysteries, even when we know some questions may never be answered? In fact, many people are drawn to horror and mystery stories because of the indescribable sense of unease and curiosity that these events evoke. Halloween, which always evokes the idea of fear and the supernatural, is the perfect time to explore these cases. After all, the fear of the unknown is one of the most primal human emotions, and each of these stories challenges us to confront what we cannot control or understand. What makes these stories even more disturbing is the sense that we are all at the mercy of the unknown. In many cases, the victims of these paranormal or mysterious phenomena are not only the people who lived through the events, but also those who encounter the uncertainty that these stories generate. When we have no clear answers, our minds tend to fill the void with speculations and theories, creating a cycle of curiosity and fear that never resolves. Maybe in the end, the real appeal of these stories is the sense that in the world we live in, there will always be something more, something beyond what we can perceive or understand. Perhaps we will never be able to fully explain what happened to these people and places, but that doesn't mean the mystery should be left behind. On the contrary, the mystery is what keeps these stories alive, challenging us to question our reality and search for what is hidden in the shadows. There is a part of us that is drawn to this unknown, that wants to understand what happens when the laws of physics and logic are broken. When these things happen, they force us to reevaluate our own beliefs and values. And maybe that's what true terror is, not the monsters, ghosts, or supernatural creatures, but the idea that, despite all our intelligence and technology, there is something we cannot control. So, no matter how much we search for answers, some things will forever remain shrouded in mystery. And that is what makes these stories so scary and fascinating. They remind us that no matter how hard we try, there are invisible and inexplicable forces that escape our understanding. Halloween, with all its legends and mysteries, invites us to explore these forces, not just to scare us, but also to reflect on what we truly know about the world we live in. Now, we want to know what you think about these stories. Have you ever experienced something that defied your logical explanations? Leave your comments below and share your own horror experiences or unsolved mysteries. Let's explore the unknown together and continue questioning what we really know about the world around us. If you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. That way, you'll stay updated on all our investigations, mysteries, and horror stories. Get ready, because the next mystery might be closer than you think. As we reflect on these mysteries, one question haunts us. What if these stories are still happening around us, right now, in some place hidden in the shadows? What we can't see, what we can't explain, may be closer to us than we imagine. All the cases we've discussed here, no matter how bizarre they are just fragments of a larger reality. A reality beyond the reach of science, beyond what our minds can comprehend. And here's the most disturbing part. What would happen if, suddenly, you were the next one? What would you do if you found yourself in a place where the supernatural became tangible, where fear and the unknown approached you without warning? The truth is, these stories don't end with an explanation. The mystery doesn't resolve, the terror doesn't go away. They continue, and new reports always emerge, new phenomena always appear, challenging logic and testing our limits. So I ask you, would you be prepared to face what's around you without knowing what's real and what's just a distorted reflection of your own perception? The world is full of places that aren't what they seem, of people who hold secrets they would never dare to reveal, and of stories that are yet to be told. And the most intriguing part? Sometimes, the truth is much scarier than any fiction. If you thought these cases were intense, wait until you see what we have prepared for the next videos. We are just getting started. If you like mysteries, unresolved stories, things that challenge reason, then you won't want to miss what's to come. Investigations are just beginning, and I promise that with each episode, we'll dive deeper into the unknown. Stay tuned. What you've just heard may be only the tip of the iceberg. True terror is closer than you think. And with each video, we will reveal more layers of a reality that no one dares to face. Get ready, because the mystery is just beginning. If you have the courage, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, activate notifications, and share this video with your friends.